Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I want to thank you for tuning in to Up Close and Personal with Angela. I am
Good afternoon.
your
I want to
host,
thank you for
Angela
tuning.
Thomas Smith, and I am waiting on my guest for today. So, who is Angela Thomas Smith? I am the founder of AALAC, which is the African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign, and I am also the CEO of Aspiring Authors Magazine, where we are bridging the gap between brown authors all over the world, where we're showcasing authors, bringing exposure to authors all over. So if you are listening and you are in different parts of Africa, maybe the UK, the Virgin Islands, or wherever you are, and if you are a brown author and you are interested in maybe being featured inside of the magazine, you could reach out to me. I am also I am also um hey Tanya, how are you? I am waiting on my guest. She just notified me saying that she is having phone issues. Um, and that happens from time to time. Um, I'm going to wait on her. But meanwhile, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the magazine and a little bit about what I'm doing here on Up Close and Personal with Angela on behalf of Aspiring Authors Magazine. So, I am the founder and CEO of the magazine. So I am the mission behind the magazine is to give authors an opportunity to gain exposure. I want to put you in front of as many people as possible through our print and through our digital copies. So I want to provide that platform for authors. For those that are aspiring to be authors, we have a section in the magazine where we offer writing tips. The first issue, we had a section in the magazine where um, Nick, one of the contributing writers, shared on how to self-publish. So there's different things throughout the magazine in each issue. So the different sections of the magazine is we have author feature section where we feature authors. Well, it's just the feature section where we feature authors, community leaders, business owners, poets, anyone that would like to be featured inside of the magazine. Um, and that's our feature section. We have a poetry corner where if you are a poet and you would like to enter your poet for possible submission into the magazine, we have been sharing email address where you could get the information to have your poetry submitted and possibly entered into the magazine. We're also doing the short story competition where every month you submit your 500 or less short stories, and we select a few to get published inside of the magazine. We also have a community section where we're touching on different topics that's affecting the Brown community. The first issue, May, we touched on mental health issues, not just here in America, but our Brown communities all over the world. We touched on Africa and different places. This month, in the June issue, we touched on Black culture, and just so happened all the social injustice was just taking place. So it was a great opportunity to give our writers an opportunity to share about their takes on what's taking place right now. So we were able to share about our current events. So that's in this issue, June's issue. It should, we have the printed copies. They are in transition to me right now. So they should be out to you guys that ordered by this weekend. So I'm super excited about that to get those magazines in your hands. Also, we are adding a business section to the magazine. So those that are brown business owners, we have partnered with a business firm called Bun Small Business out of Mississippi, and they're going to be writing 2-page spreads each month in the magazine, touching on various topics surrounding the brown community and business. And they're also going to be featuring different businesses each month. So I'm super excited about that addition to the magazine. Um, I'm trying to think. Good morning, Miller Gross. Thank you for joining. I'm trying to think anything else while I'm waiting for my guest to show up. I'm trying to see if she's going to show up. I mean, things happen, so I can't um, stress enough. You have to be able to improvise when things happen. So I want to take this opportunity, just like I said, to share with you guys a little bit about the magazine. The magazine, my desires, my hopes, and my wishes for the magazine is to be able to bridge our communities, our brown communities all over this world, giving the contributing writers an opportunity to write on the various topics that's affecting our community and giving everyone an opportunity to share their aspects. So I'm super excited that we are providing this platform for our contributing writers and for those that are following these various authors. So they get an opportunity to get to know them as writers and learn more about them as writers. So I thank God for this opportunity and this platform. Also, if you are listening and you are a business opportunity for children book authors this month. Yes, we also, if you are a children book author, please, we have a half page spread for $50. You can advertise your book, your brand inside for the month of July. This issue will release this the end of this month between the 25th and the 31st. Um, Again, you can do a half page spread for $50. You can showcase your children book. We are touching on healthcare this month, and we are also gearing up for um, the kids going back to school. So we're going to be touching on education the month of August. So I want you guys to if you are a children book author, go ahead and get your features for this month, get your ads in so that you can be in this month's issue that's going to release the end of this month. I'm super excited about that. Give us the opportunity to showcase not only the children book authors, but those children and teen that are authors that have published their books and they've taken control of their destiny and they're already creating a legacy for themselves. So I applaud those children that are authors and published authors. So if you would like to advertise in the magazine, please get your ads in. Get your ads in and be a part of the magazine. It's a great opportunity to possibly get before people that you may normally not be able to get before. Again, there's an opportunity to be seen in Africa, the Virgin Islands. There's an opportunity to be seen in the UK. So there's opportunity to get yourself before an audience that you may normally not be able to see. So again, I always tell everybody to you never know what you can do unless you try. You never know if you'll succeed. Even if you fail, at least you can say that you tried. A lot of us are, um, we're not only hindering ourselves, but we are hindering those that are attached to us because this journey that we're on is not just our journey. And we have to understand that this life is not our life. And I thank God for this platform. and the opportunity to be able to share. I also want to let you guys know that I am a part of several other platforms, and I want to share them with you guys right now while I'm possibly waiting on my guest to show up. If she do not show up, we're going to make arrangements to have her back on because I want to get her on and give her opportunity to share who she is and a little bit about her brand. Again, I understand that people have technical difficulties, so we're going to keep it pushing. Again, for those that are just tuning in, I am Angela Thomas Smith. I am the founder of AALAC, which is the African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign, bringing awareness to brown authors all over this world, bridging the gap between brown authors all over this world. So if you are a brown author and you're looking for exposure international, this is a great platform to be connected to. Also, I am the founder of and the CEO of Aspiring Authors Magazine, where our mission is to bridge the gap between brown authors all over the world. I think my guest is here now, so let me bring my guest up, and I want to thank you guys that have tuned in. Let me bring my guest up.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Deborah. How are you?
Oh my gosh. I've been out of work too long.
It's okay. It's okay. You're not the only one that have problems. A lot of people
I'm,
have problems. It's
I'm a tester by trade. My career is I test phones and mobile devices. I was like, this is stretching me. OMG. But thank God I'm here.
amen, amen, amen. Well, I want to thank you for coming on this afternoon and sharing with us. I would love for you to share with the listeners and those that are tuning in and those that will catch the replay just a little bit about who you are. For those that are just tuning in, I am Angela Thomas Smith. I am the founder of AALAC, which is the African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign. And I am also the CEO of Aspiring Author Magazine. And we have Miss Deborah Brown on with us today. Miss Deborah, would you like to share with those that are tuned in today just a little bit about who you are and what it is that you
So,
do?
absolutely. I live in, oh my gosh, I have reverb. I live in Rochester, New York, and I've lived here all of my life. My family migrated from the South. So being a Generation Xer, we're the generation that's between the older generation and the newer generation that wanted a newer way of life. And so growing up, I actually was single for more than 20 years, almost 23 years or so. So being single coming through the 70s and the 80s, when women were trying to define who they were and their own identity, I realized that there was a disconnect between what I felt I wanted and what my mother and grandmother wanted. So there's a couple of things I wanted to do. So being single, raising my daughter, going to church, being a Christian, and trying to figure out how to apply these Christian principles. When we were trying to redefine this new normal way of having relationships, there was no voice. I didn't feel that there was anyone out there to help us navigate how to be single. And once I finally, and I was about 20 years out from being 19 or so with my daughter, and I was allowed the ability to put together a little workshop for singles. And I'm diving into the Bible and I'm looking for the word single. I'm looking for the word dating, and it didn't exist. In the Bible, you went from being single to married. That was all you got. So the conversation in the context for me was, how do I figure out how to be single, how to be in a relationship with someone, how to relate? So I was blessed to be able to have been in a community-based grassroots organization for men. And it was in that experience with those men where I didn't have healthy men in my life. I had men, not healthy. That I was able to have a conversation with men to really understand men are from Mars and women are from Venus. What does this really mean? So I went on a self journey to really understand what is the difference between what women perceive in relationships and what men perceive in relationships. So I decided to interview the some bachelors I knew. And this was now 14, 15 years ago. And I composed a list of 90 questions to ask these men. And I was like, let me ask what, these guys felt about things that women felt. I knew what a woman felt, but what do men really feel? And I was blown away. I was blown away with what I thought men should want and what men actually told me was their truth. So that journey actually led. And so being a published author, it wasn't in the proper order, but I actually wrote this book, which is called He Said, She Said. And so the dialogue and the questions that I was trying to understand from these guys, I didn't publish until later, but I had it all written down and I was like, oh my God, this would be a good book. But it taught me that I needed to be different. I needed to think differently. And so once I was able to figure out what I thought was the differences, I decided to put that practice into action, my thought processes into action. So women many times ask me, who do I think men and women think the same when it comes to relationships? And women tend to think men are the problem. And I'm here to let my ladies know they're not. It's us. It's women. Because women have one perception and one perspective about what a man should be and how a man is, and men are totally different. And once I was able to realize, I don't care if he's 13 from if he's 72. Most most men, especially those who believe in heterosexual relationships, because those are the relationships with opposite sex of the women. We're thinking gravely different. In the beginning, I used to think it was a man versus a woman thing. In time, as I was able to start practicing it, doing workshops and seminars and personal development series with my theory, I began to realize it's relational because sometimes women think like men and men think like women. Men may emote more like females. Women are more hardcore, black and white like men. So we
So
have to.
what inspired you to write this book? what inspired you to write this book?
It was a self-discovery. It was a
Okay.
self-discovery. The first thing was once I realized these questions. So I'll be honest. I truly believe in transparency. This was a time in the late 90s or so when Paris Hilton came out when everybody was calling themselves bitches.
Mm.
They were like, my bitches and bitches. And I was like, who wants to be called that? So there was this conversation and context for me was, do men really want to call us bitches? And so
Okay.
I started searching the internet and I started compiling all this list of questions that I wanted to see what a man thought because I saw what women thought. And for instance, I used to say, for every one question you ask 10 men, you're going to get 9 of the same answers. You get the same 10 women, you're going to get 55 shades of gray versions of that answer. Because women are always thinking more emotionally. They're always thinking more options are available. And men, most times, are black and white. And it's very hard for us to understand how to change to meet them where they are. And I had to do that. If I wanted to be in a long, loving, lasting relationship, I had to know who he was, the way
So
he told.
what was some of the 90 questions that you asked?
Well, for instance, I started with and that's not the one book. Now I have blossomed into a bunch of books, but that was the book that started my journey. So one of the very first questions I was, tell me about who you are. So there were 5 guys between the ages of 24, I believe, and maybe 50 something. And then I had another guy that was a close friend of mine in the men's group that I would ask these same questions. So for instance, I said, so tell me, how many women have you dated? So the very first guy asked this question. He said, how many women have I had sex with versus how many women have I married? There's a difference. And I was like, what? Wait a minute. Let me break this down. And I said to him, okay, how many women have you had sex with? He said, about 300. I said, how many women have you loved or married? He said, one or two. And I sat there flabbergasted because I realized in a man's mind, who they give their heart to, 299. But many times, women engage in relationships, in dating with guys, desiring to be the one to show him she can be all that and a bag of chips. But that may not be what he stepped into that situationship with you for. So it was that very first question that made me realize that I need to get specific in my questions and my statements to men, because they will allow you to live in that theory in your head. But if you don't ask direct questions, they're not going to give you direct answers or truth. So they know that it's a partial lie, partial truth. But if you don't ask specifics, then they will let you live there and they will say you didn't ask the right question. So the questions. Another thing I did ask, love versus lust, Mrs. Right versus Miss Right now. What's the difference? So there were a lot of questions. What are some misconceptions in dating? What are some dating tips? I mean, my guys was telling me things like, oh my gosh, pitching a tent. I was like, what is pitching a tent? One of the gentlemen even said to me, all the women he was dating, they were on rotation. And I said, what? So they were on rotation. Okay, do explain. So he knew when their periods were on, who to stay away from, who to go see. So I was like enthralled with the depth they go to make sure that they're sizing us and they're learning who we are. And women do not take the time to slow down to do that. What I would like to say, as I truly believe in, I act like a lady now, but I 100% think like a man. Trust and believe. I'm going to live my truth. I'm going to make you live your truth. And if your truth doesn't size up with me, then that's when I need to figure out exactly where the disconnect. So that morphed me into understanding more in-depth relationships. And that was the second book I wrote, which was called If I Cannot Be the Cake, as the t-shirt says, I won't be the crumb. So my grandmother used to say to me when she was a kid, if she couldn't be the cake, she wasn't going to be nobody crumb. And I didn't understand. I was in my 20s. I was dating. I was like, Mama, what you talking about? Oh, Mama, you know how we do them older people. What do you mean? And once I was dating, I kept falling on my tush, doing it my way. I finally had to go back to that wisdom and say, okay, Mama, what was that again? So when I started didacting and understanding after the men, I started realizing, you know what? I said, if I can't be the cake, all that you need, I will not be your crumb. And so that's when Miss Debbie Cakes was born. So after the men, after putting this in practice, was when I realized that I would use my grandmother's wisdom and the analogy of what she shared and help people be able to understand relationships have different phases and stages. Where are you in those stages? And your relationship, just like a great tasting cake, needs to have the right ingredients.
Amen, amen, amen. I tell you, you have definitely shared a lot of insight with us on today. So I want to give the listeners an opportunity to be able to get in contact with you. So if you would please share with them how they can get in contact with you. If you have a website, please share your website link. If you are on social media, please share your social media link.
So I'm everywhere like Visa. My YouTube channel is Delbra Brown, DELBRA Brown. And I actually turned some of my books into stage plays, and they were pre-recorded under the Miss Debbie Cakes brand. So many of my philosophies can be found on YouTube, especially a lot of the stage plays I've done. Some of my I turned the he said she said it was supposed to be a movie. I created it as a little series on YouTube. So the He Said She Said series is on my YouTube channel. My website is dabrownconsulting.com. So that's where my books can be purchased, my t-shirts can be purchased. I actually also do workshops, seminars. I do the gamut. So I'm a personal and professional relationship coach. I help people define what they need. I have the originator defined 80-20 relationship challenge. 80 is the maximum, the minimum you need to be happy. 20 is what you will compromise. Never compromise less than 20 or you will feel crummy.
Amen. Amen. I tell you, I have definitely enjoyed having you on today. I appreciate you sacrificing your afternoon to come on and share with us. And if there's anything that AALAC or Aspiring Authors Magazine can do to assist you on your journey as an author, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you so much. If you find any of your viewers or any of your people are looking for coaching, looking for direction, I will tell people you don't have to pay me to be a coach. Many people can pick up books like I did. Well, my book is a book of books. So my book title, if I can't be the cake, I won't be the crumb. That is the title. All my books can be found on Amazon as well. But it's a workbook. All of my books are workbooks. They're walk-through self journeys, which include scriptures at the end and a self-reflection so that you can ask yourself, am I meeting up to what I need and what do I need to let go?
Amen. 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 I definitely thank you for coming on and sharing. I pray that someone has been inspired, encouraged, and educated on today to walk in their purpose. So I want to thank you
Thank
guys
you.
that have tuned in, and I pray that you have been blessed. Thank you,
I
Miss Debbie.
apologize for my technicalities, but I thank those of them that hung in there. And I also pray that they're blessed by what has been shared. The devil tried to be busy, but I came
Oh,
through.
yes. Amen. But Jesus prevailed,
Thank
like
you.
always. Amen. Amen. Thank you, Miss Debbie. You have a wonderful afternoon.
You also. Thank you guys so much. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.